Welcome to the Indie Author Spotlight, where we interview indie authors about upcoming releases as well as life as an author, presented to you by Books, Brews, and Dogs. You can visit booksbrewsanddogs.com, purchase a blind date with a book, and support animal rescue efforts. Books, Brews, and Dogs is where you can buy a book and save a dog or a cat.
Hi,
Okay.
everybody. Welcome to the Indie Author Podcast. I'm here with S D Paine. I'm super excited to have her on today. Do you want to go by Stephanie or SD or what should I call you?
We can go by Steph or Stephanie, either one is
Okay.
fine. It's not like a secret. I originally just chose to go by S D Paine author-wise, because generally having gender neutral names on books does well. And so I kind of just made it a little vague for that.
I was able to read, I think it's your newest series, and I say this every single interview. So people are probably sick of hearing it, but I am horrible with names of things.
Oh, totally.
So it's the Lumens and
Humans and
Daemons.
Lumens series? Yes.
Yes. So that is your newest series, right?
Yeah. Technically, I guess it's not the newest anymore, but it was my debut series, and it
Oh.
just completed in August.
And it's a trilogy, right? Because
Yeah,
I
so it's
remember only three.
3 books. There are 2 novellas that are
Oh,
in the series.
I
So, but
didn't
there's
see
three main books, and then I wrote a prequel novella after finishing book 2, and then there's a second novella that is a parallel timeline to book 1, and it's from her. The two novellas are from her sister's point of views, the main character's sister's point of views.
that. Oh,
But
interesting.
yeah, so they're both very important to the story. It
Mhm.
started out mostly just about Serafina and that one main character. And then as I was writing it, I was like, her two sisters are just becoming so important to the story that I think I need to throw in these little novellas to get more of their point of views. And there's a lot of stuff happening with them that's very important to Serafina's story. So threw those in there too.
I got really lucky. So I usually don't have time to read more than one book from
Sure.
each author. But when it came time to prep for your interview, I was on a road trip.
Oh, nice.
So I did the Kindle Unlimited and I got to listen to the entire series on the road trip, which is,
Oh, that's
I,
awesome.
I had to drive all the way to and from Texas,
Okay,
which is
wow.
like a 36-hour drive each way. So I was actually able to listen to the entire series.
That's a lot of driving.
Uh, oh my God, it was
Would
miserable.
Yeah, I
It
would not
was
be a fan.
so miserable. And I left Perrin, my husky, with my grandma because he's super easygoing and super easy to take care of.
Hmm.
And I took the pit bull Murphy with me because he has food aggression issues and things like that. So
Oh,
I couldn't leave him here to
yeah.
for my grandma to feed and risk anything happening.
Sure.
So I'm on the road with a pit bull in my van to go to my storage. I made it to Texas on Friday. I went to my storage on Saturday and I came back on Sunday.
Oh my
And I started
God.
driving back home on Sunday because then I had to be at work because it's the holidays. I could only get so many days off, so it was like
Right.
it
That's
was miserable. It was
crazy.
so miserable. So
I'm not really a
it,
fan of being in the car more than like 4 hours.
it was hard, but the benefit is I finally got to listen to a series all the way through instead of having to take a long break and hope I can get back to it and stuff.
Yeah.
And so I did really enjoy the books. They are very spicy. These are not for young readers.
Yeah.
If you're a young adult, we're more in the adult stage on these books. Uh,
Yeah.
Most certainly. And it is also a reverse harem why choose,
Yes. Yes.
which I always think is fun. I always
Me
enjoy
too.
because you know it. it's like one of those things where we may not really want that, but we like the idea of it.
Yeah.
Um, and
I love reading why choose stories, and it was I kind of, when I started writing it, just like saw it in my head that way, that there was going to be multiple people, and it just, it was like, this is how it has to be. I can't pick one. It feels weird, doesn't feel right. I'm like, so it's gonna be a why choose.
one thing that I really like that you did with this why choose is oftentimes why choose everybody just is okay with it.
Yeah.
But in this one, they're not okay with it at first.
Yeah.
They're kind of like, and then you have one character who's really not okay with it. And that creates a whole level of drama where things end up going more awry than they were already.
Yeah.
Um, because he takes offense to things. I don't want to
Sure.
give too much away,
Yeah,
but he causes extra problems because of it.
he really does.
And
I got a lot of really funny messages of people being like, fuck that guy. Especially after the cliffhanger from book one.
yeah.
Everyone was big
And
mad.
well, you love him at first,
I
right?
know.
Like you absolutely love him. And then you're like, why do you have to be such an asshole about it?
I know. I had one reader, she's on my street team and I love her. And she was like, there's no way that you're gonna make me like him before the end of this series because I hate him and I'm so mad at him for what happened. And by the last book, she was like, fine, I love him again.
Yeah. And I feel bad because we're calling him him. Um, because I can't remember his name. Because
Well, I guess I
Serafina
can,
is the main character. She's the one that we're following.
yeah, I guess I can say his name because I don't think saying his name spoils what happens.
I don't think,
We're talking about Dev.
yes,
Yeah,
Dev.
yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
Um,
he's
so
the first one she meets.
mhm.
So we fall in
And
love with him right away,
I
and he's
love the way
adorable.
you describe him and his character because you do a lot of detail, but you still leave quite a bit up to interpretation with it. So you can, um, well, you get like this really good sense of he's amazingly handsome. It's not so detailed that you're seeing everybody. So you're able to really
Right.
kind of picture who you want.
Yeah.
But he's like that tattooed hunk behind the bar, right? And so I don't know anyone who hasn't, at least around my age in their 40s, or who's an
Sure.
adult who hasn't gone to a bar and kind of fallen in love with the hot guy behind the bar, at least a
I
little
mean,
bit,
yeah. Especially if you watch a bartender like making the drinks and slanging the bottles and stuff, you're like, oh, I'm in love with him.
right? So it's just, and so like, I just loved that description, and it really kind of made you feel like I'd like him to be wrapped around me too. I could take that.
Yeah. And he is a sweetie. He's an emotional boy.
Yes, very emotional. Um, which really kind of helps feed into the story and, the development of Serafina and um with him and everybody else that you meet along the way. And so the books also start more contemporary, and then you kind of end up by the third one in that fantasy world. So it starts off in our world and then moves into fantasy. So there's a lot of kind of transitioning through different genre and tropes throughout the series. There's a lot of playing with that. What
Yeah.
inspired that?
So, well, I actually, the first person I saw Serafina meeting in my head when the story was kind of developing was actually Typhon.
Oh,
Um, there was a scene that I saw and it was happening and everything. And the one towards the end of book one when everything kind of goes sideways. Um but anyway, I saw that one first and I knew that there was going to be some kind of elemental magic and it was kind of like my take on Angels and Demons vibes, but it moved into a more like urban fantasy instead of paranormal romance by the end of it because you have way more fantastical elements. But it just kind of felt like the natural progression of it. So I was like, I really hope people are going to be okay with this journey because it starts out in on Earth in Boston in these normal places and real streets and all of that stuff. So like people are going to be ready to really move into something really fantasy, but I try to like bring it back and also keep it not it's not overly fantasy in the sense that the the demons and lumens on their world have
Uh,
a lot of similarities. They still look mostly human for the most part. Uh, so it wasn't like too crazy or too fantasy where we're switching completely over to like fairies and dragons and stuff.
yeah.
So
Yeah, it stays even once you get into their world, you still have a lot of that urban feel. And there's mention of the true look of the characters and some of them with wings and some of them with horns and things like that, but you don't through most of it you're not really seeing that until I think the third book is really when
yeah,
you meet the characters that have more of that happening.
yeah,
Um,
yeah.
so yeah, it's a lot more urban fantasy. I agree, but it's so interesting and I really like, the way you pulled it together and
Ew.
um but there is a lot of sex in these books.
I
Not
know.
not that that's a bad thing, but I was not expecting that
Yeah.
as prominent as it was. And the first time I tried listening to it was the last day I had to work, because I'm allowed to wear a single headphone at work.
Okay.
And so I was listening to the book at work, and I figured, from reading the back of it, I'm like, okay, I have to remember straight face because I'm at work and I know that this is going to have some spice in it. But that first sex scene hit, and I was like,
Shoot.
and I'm standing at the register going, don't show it on your face, don't show it. Because it was intense.
Yeah.
Like
Well,
right off the bat.
Seraphina, she uses sex as a weapon, and
Yes, he does. Um,
uh,
and at some point, they even bring that up
yes.
amongst each other.
Yeah.
So, it's I think it's really fun. It was well done. The sex scenes were uh definitely spicy, but I feel like they were well written. They didn't feel awkward as I was listening to them.
Yeah, that's
Um,
good.
and sometimes, like, Kendall, when I have it reading to me, I usually have it reading to me at 1.5 times the speed
Uh-huh.
than normal. And so the voice is already weird because it's not an actual, it's a
Right, right,
AI
right.
voice. It's not an
Yeah,
actual, uh,
right. Not like a true audiobook. Yeah.
yes. Um, like there's not narrator. That's the word I was looking.
You're right.
It's not a true narrator. And so the pauses are weird. They don't always pause in the right spot and things like that. And
Yeah.
the inflections aren't always right. And so it can be really awkward. Listen, the conversations, sometimes I'll stop and I'll go back and I'll actually physically read those conversations because
Right.
it makes it a little awkward. But even with that reading to me in that little high pitched, like super fast voice, it didn't feel awkward listening to those scenes as it was reading it to me. And so
That's
um,
good. Good to
that,
know.
yeah, it was really well done. And I've never tried it, but I imagine sex scenes are hard. I've had other authors say they are hard to write and not be awkward. So how did you get started in writing the sex scenes? What do you think helps you write them?
Oh.
Um, like how do you do the research for that and like tell us a little bit how you get to that point.
Well, I've probably been reading books that I shouldn't be reading when I was little. Um, I mean, uh,
And
I was definitely reading Stephen King when I was in grade school, and a lot of those are pretty scary. There's some horror there, and I started reading romance books and probably like late middle school and definitely in high school, and so I've I read as much as possible. I think that's probably one of the biggest things that authors can do to make their writing better or to get better ideas is to just read everything. Read everything in the genres that you want to write in. So I read a million Why Choose books to see how people did different things to make that many different people emotionally connected and all of those different ways. So and I tried to because I had four or five different main characters that were interacting with her, even in the spicy moments, I wanted it to be like a little bit unique to them. So no matter what the scene was, I was trying to make sure that they stayed like they were doing something that felt like what they would enjoy doing and what they would enjoy doing with her. So it was like having those connections and not just like getting railed against a wall for funsies or whatever. I wanted to like feel like it was more about the what the couple was doing together or the group or whatever. How if that kind of makes sense.
yeah. And so you have a couple of scenes that are definitely BDSM.
Yeah.
Um, I say a couple, but I'd
I
say
mean,
at
Typhon's
least
pretty kinky, so you
at
know.
least the majority of them, I would say probably actually have some element of BDSM in them. So how did you go about researching that? Is it just through books that you were reading like before, or do you know people, or do you want to talk about it?
I know some people in the lifestyle and it's definitely been mostly reading, but not just reading fiction books. There's all kinds of books you can read, and things that you can look up and research and stuff like that to get to know it more. I wouldn't say any of it is like true BDSM because I don't think I'm knowledgeable enough and like fully in the life to write that. I'm working on something that's way more specific to the lifestyle and those kinks, whereas this one's more like it plays with a lot of them,
Mm,
and like the some of the characters have spicy kinks like Ty and his knife play and stuff like that is more like a fun little kink and not necessarily a lifestyle choice, if
yeah,
that makes sense. But yeah,
yeah,
it's a lot of reading, a lot of research. I also will go down rabbit holes of information. Like you look up one little thing, and then suddenly you've been sitting there for 3 hours reading about all the different types of knives and things you can do with knives and all of this stuff. And it's like there's so much information out there. So you want to make sure you're using decent resources. So I try to make like there's a lot of creepy things out there as well that aren't actually accurate. Um, so you want to make sure you're reading credible websites and stuff like that too.
yeah. It's amazing how much good can come out of the internet and how much bad it's, you just finding the right sources to make sure it's accurate can be really difficult.
For
Um,
sure. And I'm sure I've done things that aren't exactly accurate, but we're also in that this is a fictional world that I made up in my head. So if I was writing a book that was being more true to the lifestyle or someone specifically in the lifestyle, then I'd probably be doing a lot more research with humans and getting their take on things and not just reading about it.
Yeah. Okay. Um, so was there anything that inspired this book, this story, or was it just kind of something that built over time? And you said earlier that it's your debut series. So what got you to finally sit down and say, I'm going to write this book and I'm going to put it out there? Because that's not something you do lightly. Like that's a very serious decision to make,
Yes.
to put yourself out there like that. So kind of what was that progression like?
So I actually wrote 4 books before this one and that are not out, and I don't know if they will be out. It was because I've wanted to be an author since I was little. Like it has pretty much been my main one goal that hasn't changed other than owning a castle in Ireland. I still have that on my list of things to do.
Who
But
doesn't want that either? I'm with you on that second one for sure.
yeah, it's still on my list, maybe someday.
I'll take
Um,
a cottage in Ireland. Like,
right.
it doesn't have to be a castle. I'll take a cottage. I'm
I
good.
mean, I just really want it to be haunted. I want the history, but uh I'm digressing. So, this story, like I said, there was like a random scene that played in my head, and it was with Ty and Serafina, and I knew it was this girl that was on a revenge mission, and she was kicking some ass and killing a bunch of bad guys, and she was doing this in the name of her family. So I like saw that. Um, this was in like 2022, 23, somewhere around there. And I just wrote it out because I was like, this is so fun. And I'm seeing all of these things in my brain and I gotta just put them on paper and see what happens. And then it started kind of just like flushing out. And it's like, well, why does she need revenge? What happened to her family? And who is this guy? And then the other guys kind of started showing up and talking in my head at me. And I realized she had sisters, and then it was like, oh, I think there's a more of like a paranormal element to it. I love paranormal stories. So I will almost always write things that are either slightly mysterious or, whether it's ghosts or something like that. I love adding paranormal elements to real world problems and stuff. So um I wasn't paranormal in the beginning, but it kind of went that way as I was flushing it all out. And the biggest reason that it turned into a whole book and a whole series is I was talking to, sorry if you're hearing squeaks, that's my dog. um, he's deciding to bring his toy that squeaks really loud and do it right here.
I can't hear it, but that's usually how it works. These two are being extra calm today, which is
I was like, look so
I'm not
cute.
really sure why, because I skipped their walk like I did with Caroline in her interview, which will drop on Christmas Day.
Yeah.
And they were the most obnoxious dogs that day. And I was so nervous. I'm like, oh my God. And I'm like trying not to yell, but I'm trying to
It
keep
can
them
be
calm.
crazy.
And
I don't even care.
I didn't edit any of it out. So I'm sure someone's going to be, because at one point I was like, what are you doing? And I kind of grabbed the collar. So someone will probably have something to say
Oh,
about that. But
I'm sure it's fine.
they were running in and out and jumping up and down and chewing on everything and barking. And I was like,
I would love that. I would be distracted. We could just talk about your dogs the whole time.
I know they're being so calm and so good today.
Oh, one of my
Considering
friends calls me a dog whisperer because she's had 2 reactive and slightly aggressive dogs that she adopted and whatever. And they generally don't like people. It takes them a while to warm up. And both of them, like first meeting, were like, this girl's awesome. And one of them, like, she curled up in my lap and fell asleep. And within
Oh,
like 2 hours of meeting. So she sent a picture of it to one of her dog trainers and they were like, what the fuck? And I'm like, I am a dog whisperer.
I'd feel that way if Murphy, attached to somebody that quickly. He tends to be, he's a rescue and
Yeah.
he has some mostly food aggression issues, but as he's settled in with us, he's started getting extremely protective of the house. And so you have
Mhm.
to introduce anybody that's coming in
Yep.
like three doors down from the house, or
Yeah.
like don't come anywhere near me and my mom. And I'm
Aw.
like, oh man.
Yeah. That's how my friends' dogs were too, and they loved me.
Yeah. So he's so yeah, I'd love to have someone that I could do that with because I really can't have people over right now. And I think the stress of moving from Texas to California has also added to that because
Yeah.
everything's changed and our routines have had to change. And so there's been some regression back towards some behaviors that we thought we had kind of minimized or gotten rid of. And
Yeah.
he's just a loving, sweet, loving dog 99% of the time. And every once in a while, something will flip and we're like, oh, wait. But
Well, my friend's in LA with her fun dog, so you could always meet up and have little dog
oh,
meet.
I would love that. Both of my dogs love other dogs.
So do hers. That was the other thing.
Oh.
They're really good with other dogs, and they're a lot better with people when they have dogs.
When they have a dog. Yeah.
Hmm.
Other
We'll
people that have
do that
dogs,
later.
though, they warm up to. Well, Perrin likes everybody. Perrin could care less. He's everybody's best friend. If somebody broke into the house and it was just Perrin, everything would be gone. So
I think that would be I have a cattle dog right now, and he'll bark sometimes, but I feel like if someone barged in, he'd be like, "Oh my God," and just like let it happen.
yeah, I don't even think Perrin would bark. I think he'd just go up and be like, "Are you gonna pet me? Are you gonna be my pet? Aren't we gonna? Aren't we friends? Are you gonna?" Um, as you can hear right now, he's like the quietest husky I've ever known because there's
Such a
no husky
sweetie,
noises happening.
right?
He's just sitting at my feet right now. But like he's just
Aw,
sitting right there at my feet.
so
And
stinking cute and fluffy.
yes. But I used to tell him when he was little, he's my broken husky.
Oh,
'Cause he has to feel like he's in utter distress before he makes a noise. Um,
I need to write. I want to write a book with a dog as a main character. Like I have to put dogs in there at some point. I've always had dogs. I love them. Like somebody needs to have a dog, but it didn't make sense at all in this story. So I was like, can't do it there.
I know. I wish I could get a cat again, but I don't think Murphy would let us have a cat. Um, but we got Murphy because my cat passed away at 15.
Mhm.
When Perrin was I think a year and a half, and Perrin got so depressed that he stopped eating.
Oh, baby.
And we tried medication, we tried everything, and the vet was like, "You have to get him a friend because he just
Hmm.
nothing is working." And so we were like, okay, so we went to the rescues and started looking for dogs that and the very first day that Perrin and Murphy met, we tried to do like the pack walk thing. And so we're talking and we're walking, and they kept forcing the introduction. And we were trying to make it like you guys
Hmm.
don't actually get introduced until the second pack walk. And they were like, nope, that's not happening. And they were like instant best friends. So,
Oh,
um,
that's great. I love that.
yeah, so we did a weekend stay with Murphy, and then he just never went back. So we the like first 4 days that he stayed with us, we were gonna keep him just for like 4 days, and they got along so well we decided we would just keep him, and it wasn't dealing with the food aggression wasn't really that big of a deal.
Yeah.
But as he settled in and started feeling safe, other behaviors popped up, and so we had to work through a lot of those. And we're still working on some stuff. He's still scared of the dark. He's
Oh.
terrified of the dark. He
Oh.
won't go on a walk when it's dark
Oh my goodness.
unless we have a flashlight, and we have a flashlight we put around his neck, or he
Mm-hmm.
won't go on the walk. And then I
Oh,
have to be
baby.
holding a flashlight. So wintertime walks are difficult
Yeah. Oh my
because
goodness.
it's dark so early. It's like
Yep.
yeah. But
Cute baby.
if the hallway light is turned off, he won't walk down the hallway until you turn the light on. And yeah.
My
So
goodness.
he'll sleep in the dark as long as you're there.
Right.
But when it's dark, he has to be right there next to you, and he won't go anywhere. He has to be touching you. He has to. It's the cutest thing. It's so sad, but it's so adorable.
It is. It's like you don't want that for him, but also really cute.
I know, like the biggest, scariest dog, and he's terrified of the dark.
That's usually how it goes, though.
Yeah.
The big ones are the sweetest. My,
Okay.
I had three dogs. Two of them passed away earlier this year.
I'm
They were
so
older. Anya was 15-ish. She was found on the street, so they don't really know her exact age.
yeah.
And so she lived a very long, happy life once she was here. And then Bart, my second one, he was a Rottweiler mix, like Rottweiler Shepherd.
Hmm.
He's beefy, like a Rottie. And so, and has a big, like, had a deep bark and everything. And he was scared of everything. Like, he sounded really scary if you came up to the door and you would hear him bark. You'd be like, oh, I'm not going in there. But if you were just like, hi, he'd be like, oh my God, what do I do? And just like run away. Like, he was the nicest teddy bear dog ever.
Yeah. That's
So,
it. Murphy and my grandma are like best. He's the first thing in the morning. I go to let him out to use the bathroom, and he goes out and he potties, and he comes running inside, and the first place he goes is straight to my grandma's bed. And if
aw,
she's asleep, he'll just jump up on the bed and lay right next to her, and he won't move until she wakes up.
what a sweetie. I love that.
He's like he has to check on her every morning, and
That's so
it's
cute.
adorable. It's really adorable. Okay,
Yes.
we could end up talking about dogs all night. We should get
I
back to
really
work.
could, though.
I know it's.
We could go through every single dog that exists.
Oh my gosh, I
I love
could.
watching Best in Show. Like, we'll just talk
Oh
about
yeah,
dogs.
all the dogs that are available for adoption, and all the
Oh,
rescues that need some help. Like I could go
no.
on and on.
I know. I can't foster because I will just keep them all and then I'll judge everyone that tries to adopt them. So I
Yeah,
couldn't do it.
I'm hoping I can get back to a point that I can foster again.
Yeah.
Uh, because I really did enjoy fostering. Uh, but the first time I did it, I was in an apartment, and I was still working a full-time job. My husband was still working a full-time job. And then we started our business, and it was supposed to just be like a part-time business, and then it became a full-time business. It was, but I started Books Brews Dogs to help the rescues. Like that was the whole point of it. And I just was like, I'm gonna just call it the things that I like, which is
Yeah.
books, tea, coffee for my husband, which is why it's brews and not books tea. Um, because he's like, but I like coffee, not tea. So it was like, okay, well, what could encompass both things? And then dogs, because
Beer, technically.
beer works too, but I can't send beer through the mail. So
Probably.
that's problematic. Um, but So, and then every time we make a sale or earn money, a portion of our proceeds go to animal rescues
I love that.
um, for the
So
books. So if
great.
you go to booksbrucedogs.com, you get a blind date with a book. You choose your genre. You choose whether you want tea, coffee, or hot chocolate. And a portion of every sale, not profit, but every sale goes to
Mm.
animal rescues. And we do try to work with animal rescues in and find credible animal rescues in the area that you order from. So if you're in
Cool.
Ohio, we'll look for one in Ohio and we'll donate to them. Um, we donated primarily to Texas when we were in Texas.
Hmm.
Because all of our sales were from Texas, but we try to keep it to a local, so you're helping your local animal rescues. And I research the rescues and make sure that they're credible rescues and they're not scams and everything. And there's like a whole partnership agreement they have to sign and all of that stuff. So it's kind of it's fun. It's a lot of work for
I bet.
one person, but I do
Well,
enjoy
if you get sales in Missouri, I can help you find some good ones.
that'll. I'll keep that in mind. um, I will keep that in mind. So, anyways, let's get back to your
Okay.
books. So, you have the Lumens and Demons series.
Yes.
And so that's Resurrection is the first book, right? No,
Retaliation.
Retaliation is the first,
Resurrection's book 2.
and then
Revolution.
Revolution.
Got weird with our words, I guess.
Yeah, and then um,
And then there's the 2
the
novellas.
two novellas. Okay.
So I did the prequel one is called A Lumen's Surrender. And I was being crazy with words again. It was like, well, if there's one prequel with the lumen in it, I need the other prequel to, or the other novella to have demon in it. So the other novella is A Demon's Alliance.
Okay.
So, and the titles kind of work with what's going on in the books. So, Illumined Surrender is, since it's a prequel novella, it's about her sister who we know in book 1 in Retaliation. We know that she's already dead because that's the one she's getting her revenge on for. So, this prequel novella is her story and everything that leads up to right before she gets murdered. So, it's called Surrender because she has to come to terms with a lot of stuff and realize that things happen the way they have to happen, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Fate is doing stuff. Still really sad and it'll make you cry. Everybody has cried who read that prequel novella. But it's like really cute too. Like the love story is really cute. It's not spicy actually at all. Because the prequel, the sister is only 16 when she gets murdered. So there is like a fated mates, star-crossed kind of thing going on, but
Um,
it's not spicy since they're babies.
are you making an appearance?
I love that. You could stay for the whole time.
I know. I think they might be the only reason people watch that.
I'm
Well, no, I know. I know people have commented back and told me, "Hey, thank you for that interview," and they've gotten some of the books from the authors, so I know they watch them for you guys. But I definitely think these guys are a big draw.
I mean, I can send some pictures of my dog to help promo it. If people will like me more because of my super adorable cattle dog, I will take that.
Right? I'm okay with it. If
Yeah.
you're gonna watch it because you get to see the dogs act crazy and funny and me going wild and
Yeah.
pulling my hair out during the middle of an interview because the dogs won't stop barking or just seeing them get treats.
They're doing great on this one.
Yeah, I know they're so quiet. I'm shocked. I'm like in shock because I skipped their walk because I didn't have time between getting home, feeding them, and this interview to do their walk. So I was expecting them to be all wild, but I guess Grandma went out and played with them today or something.
Yeah, we did. Okay, he's trying to jump up here, but get down.
Oh.
We did our walk early, which I usually walk him later just because there's so many people around here with dogs and he wants to play with every single one of them and not everybody else wants that. So
Yeah.
I'll walk him later so there's not as many distractions. And we walked earlier tonight and there was just everybody was out. Dogs everywhere, which is fun, but yeah. Um Yeah,
They're
and then
adorable.
the other novella, the A Demon's Alliance one, is her other sister. So there's
Hmm.
three sisters total, three girls total. And she's still alive. So hers is the one that's a parallel timeline to book one. And you're seeing everything that she's doing on her side of things with some of her own version of revenge, but different than Seraphina's. And book two, Resurrection, is where those two sisters get to finally come together again. So the reading the two novellas, I mean, I obviously am biased, but I definitely think it's worth it because you do also see some little secrets and stuff that is fun to figure out before you get to books two and three. So you have to go back and read those.
So that it's fun to have the little novellas and stuff. So yeah,
Yeah,
I'll definitely have to put those on my TBR so I
yeah,
can get the whole series in.
yes.
Since
They're
I
pretty short, so that's also nice. Like you can
yeah.
the prequel one is very short. Like you could read that in a handful of hours tops.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you did drop a little bit of a hint that you have something else
Yeah.
because you said that these are your debut novels. So you
Mm.
have other novels that just came out, or
Yes.
at
There's a
least one.
2026. I was feeling very ambitious, I guess. So I did drop a novella around Halloween.
Hmm.
Um it was kind of funny. I was really just like getting FOMO that all of these people were putting out really fun, crazy Halloween stories. So I was like, I want to write a Halloween story. It's my favorite holiday, favorite time of year. My birthday's in October, so I've always been spooky. So I was like, I'm gonna write a Halloween novella. And my PA and editor and stuff, I was like, hey, I'm gonna write this really quick. Can we get this out? And it all happened in like 3 weeks. Um, and so it started as just a novella, and then the whole story just kind of like blew up in my head of all of these different characters and everything that's going to happen. So it's turning into something bigger. So there's an anthology that I'm going to be in 2026
Hmm.
called Devoured by Desires is the name of the anthology. And there's a bunch of really cool authors in it, but we are focusing on mental health and we're donating to mental health organizations. So,
I love that.
um, yeah, and so I'm really excited about the anthology. And so there's going to be my story in that one is going to be the same world. I actually have it. So this is the one that came out in October, and it'll be in the same world, new characters. And then I'm putting together a full length novel that's going to have the characters from all the novellas come together. Um, yeah, so I'm calling it the Haunted Hospitals series. And so it's taking place in different asylums. And uh, I think it's going to be sort of in the paranormal world because there's some like mad scientists doing some crazy things.
Hmm.
So it's not really, I would not call it fantasy at all. It's like on the verge of paranormal because like the mad scientist tries to turn a human into a vampire kind of thing. So it's not like the fantasy vibes of a vampire, but more of like if crazy human beings did crazy shit.
So a little bit Frankenstein type.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. You're gonna have some of that. So they murder people to see if they can make ghosts. And like they're not nice people. There's so I would call the novella more horror romance. It's pretty dark and scary and crazy, so not for the faint of heart. Um, there's everybody is unwell and doing bad things. So, um, but I think overall it won't be horror romance. It'll be in that slightly paranormal, dark romance. Is
Morley Gray seems to be your favorite to write.
it is.
Your
I just
main
like
characters through and through, and your side characters are all Morley Gray.
okay. Yes, in general, I am a dark romance, dark stories. It's my thing. But I do have coming out in 2026, and we just announced this over the last couple weeks. Myself and another indie author, her name's Liana Valerian. We are co-authoring a fairy tale retelling,
Mhm.
and it is fluffy. It's not dark at all. So we both decided, because she also writes dark romance, and we're like, let's write something fluffy and happy. It does start with a funeral, but it's not dark. I was making fun of us though. I was like, oh my God, we started this happy fairy tale with a funeral. And um, but it is we just did the cover reveal, and it's a Goldilocks and the Three Bears retelling. And so it's called Goldie and the Bear Affair. So it is a why choose story, and she meets the three bears when she's
Oh,
running away from an arranged marriage.
that sounds very cute.
It's really freaking cute, and it's been really fun writing. I haven't co-authored a story before, but I love her writing and I love her as a human being. So when we kind of talked about it, we're like, yeah, absolutely. So it's been really fun to like she's writing two POVs and I'm writing two POVs because there's three bears and the one human
Yeah,
main holding. Um and just going back and forth between the chapter she writes to one that I write and like playing off each other, and all of that has been a lot more fun because you really don't know what to expect when you're sharing a story with someone like so that
yeah,
part's been
that's
fun.
interesting. That'll be an interesting read having it,
I
two
know.
authors
And
writing two different points of views.
right, and like if you can tell that it's very different, if you can tell who's doing who,
Hmm.
um I think we have some similarities in how we're kind of sassy and we like funny characters, so there's definitely always banter and things like that in both sides. So I think it's going to turn out really well. So that's going to come out in April, I think. Yeah.
That's fun.
So
So you have 5 books out right now, though.
yeah.
And we talked about the trilogies, the Demons and Lumens
Yeah.
trilogy. And then there's the 2 novellas with that. And then you have the One Halloween Night, which is the one we were just talking about. But you have another one called Dueling Obsessions.
Yes. So
Right.
that one is completely separate from everything I've mentioned so far. That one's coming out in March. I think the
Okay.
release date is March. It is a dark romance, and it is also a white shoes. I write a lot of white shoes. I just love the dynamics. But it's
It, it makes for good drama.
I, it's just, yeah, it's a lot of fun. So this is an MMF story. So two guys and a girl, and the guys are also into each other. Um, there's a lot of tension though in the beginning. It's kind of funny in the sense that at the very beginning of the book, um, these guys are estranged. They haven't talked to each other in a while, and they are brothers, but they think they're blood related brothers. So they think their attraction to each other is icky, and they find out that they're not. And I can say that spoiler because I don't want people to think that I'm writing a story that's in the taboo genre because it's not, because they're not blood related. And then they don't do anything until they figure out that they're not blood related. So,
It's an interesting thought to play with.
yeah.
especially because that is such a, taboo type of topic, and it's such a weird thing. So to play with the psychology of that, I think would be really interesting.
Definitely messes with their heads. That's for
Yeah.
sure. Like everybody needs therapy in this book. And
I would
it,
say that about the last book too.
I agree. I think everybody in all of my books needs therapy. Um, just I support therapy. Everybody should go. Um,
Definitely not a bad idea to go
yeah.
there.
So, but it's a really fun story. I came up with dueling obsessions because it's these characters all have their own things that they are like these dark obsessions, these desires that they want to follow and that plague them and they can't get over it. And then they also, when they meet, become obsessed with each other. And so it's like there's rivalry in there and there's all of these like, is this something that I want, that I really want, really need? Is this just a passionate thing? So there's a lot of like mental play in this story too. And our main character, her name's Nora. She is trying to become a true crime journalist. So that's also was a is a fun thing to write where she's digging into these murders and these bad things that have happened and she finds out stuff about both of the guys by doing that. So it's actually like something she kind of uncovers about
Uh,
them before they do. So it was a lot of secrets. I love writing secrets. So everybody has secrets all the time. But, so do
well,
people.
I mean, that's kind of true to life, though, isn't it? We all
Yeah.
have our secrets. We're not, uh,
Well, and we're not just open books. Like it's not like you meet
yeah.
someone and you just word vomit every single thing about yourself in that first meeting.
Although sometimes I wonder, now that I'm cashiering again, I'm like, wow, I really did not need to know that about you.
That's customer service though. Like your hairstylist knows everything about your life. Like people
But
word
at least with
vomit.
the hairstylist, you're spending more than 5 minutes
That's true.
there. Like you're probably there for at least an hour, if not more, if it, and with just a haircut, you're usually there for around an hour if you're getting your hair colored, or you're there for a few hours. Like there's time to build that relationship. You usually go to the same hairstylist for a while.
This
So
is
you
true.
you kind of build a little bit. I'm a cashier at a grocery store. Like I don't know you.
Just have really nice vibes and they just want to tell you stuff.
It's just like I feel like I should have been a bartender, although I
Right?
might really get scared with it. I get told then.
Only if you're like, okay, you can tell me your word vomit, but you have to give me $100.
Right.
Add it to your tab.
But yeah, I like it when the characters in books have secrets.
Me too.
It's also very frustrating because you're like, why won't you just open your stupid mouth? It would solve all of this. But it also makes it more realistic because
Yeah.
a lot of times we could get through a situation that we create, a dynamic we create, if we would just ask the question. But we're scared of the answer and we don't want to know how to phrase the question. We're scared they'll take offense. We're scared of this, or we're scared they won't
Yeah.
understand what we're actually trying to say. And so
Yeah.
we just don't say anything and it ends up causing even more problems. And so having characters in books that do that also makes them more relatable, makes them feel more
Yeah.
real, because that's how we as humans act a
Right.
good majority of the time. Like we don't open up every single time we think someone may have done something and go, "Did you mean to
Right.
do that? Was that on purpose?" We sit there and internalize it and go, "What? Why did they do that to me?"
There's also, I pay a lot more attention when I'm having conversations or just people noticing things. it's not like I don't love the miscommunication trope by itself when
Uh-huh.
it's like blatant miscommunication because that just doesn't feel as authentic. But there are
Yeah.
times where you might go to someone, you're like, oh my God, I have to tell you this story. But then something happens, you get distracted, you end up telling a different story, and then you leave and you realize, oh my gosh, I never told them what I actually was going to tell them because all of these other things came up instead. And that's natural. So that can happen. I
Hmm.
wouldn't call it a miscommunication, more like just a natural progression of a conversation that didn't go the way you thought it was going to go.
Yeah.
And that happens all the time. So that happens with well, I mean the secret of them not being related is withheld by other people, outside people. But how everybody figures it out and happens throughout the book in more of that natural progression of like, wait a minute, I have this information I have to share, but then something happens, so I can't, et cetera, et cetera. Which I think,
Isn't there's a movie what was it? And of course I don't think that this is necessarily the theme of the book, and I haven't read the book.
yeah,
Um, but isn't Cruel Intentions kind of that same thing
it does have a
where
little bit of
it's
that. I love that movie.
technically technically they're related, but they're not blood related or
Yes.
anything. And she completely plays with her stepbrother in that one. So this
She's not
feels
only
like
nice.
it's a little bit different, at least than that, but it's kind of that same concept of, you know,
Yeah.
that it,
It's a power play thing.
yeah.
You're behaving a certain way and you're sharing information a certain way to keep control over that person or that situation. And that's essentially what's happening to the guys in this story is there are people that are trying to control both of them in different
And
ways. So
yeah.
there is a little bit more of the BDSM world in this one. One of the main guy characters owns a club, and but it's very kink specific. So they like his particular club focuses on like exhibitionism and the voyeur kink. And so it was really fun writing out this club and how it works and everything. But I do have those moments where we talk about consent and using your safe words. And I knew I wanted to have a scene where somebody uses a safe word and it is respected because I think that's something that people just like forget about, or they're like, I'm too good for a safe word, or I don't need
Mhm.
that. And that's,
Yeah.
it's not a great mentality to have because you never know when your emotions are going to change or get heightened in the wrong way or whatever, and you might need to take a step back. So I wanted to make sure that was those like boundaries were shown and respected and all of that in this book too. So
Yeah, and it definitely is something that needs to happen and be shown and be seen.
yeah.
Because even though they're fantasy books or they're fictional books or paranormal, we do learn a lot of how things and we take a lot and internalize a lot of what we read, and it does influence a little bit to to a degree how we think or how we come to understand the world and how we empathize with people, and normalizing boundaries and uh around, safe words and boundaries around sexual encounters
Hmm.
is so important.
Yeah, it
uh
absolutely.
and it should be in every single book. uh there's a series that it's one of my favorite series of all time, and there's a lot of BDSM in it as well.
Which
um
one?
it's the Kushiel's Legacy series by Jacqueline Carey,
Okay.
and she does a really good job. But in that series, so there's the main character is a trained courtesan, and so there's a lot of BDSM, but there's also a lot of straightforward love interaction scenes, and then there are rape scenes, and she makes a point of saying, like the one character that commits the crime is like, yeah, but you, and she goes, let me make this clear. This is still rape.
Sure.
My body reacted because that's what it's supposed to do, but this is still rape. And so I always loved the book because of that, because it always made that distinguishment and it always made sure you knew
Mm-hmm.
this is when it's okay. This is when it's not okay. Because there's scenes where she's being debased and degraded and like these horrific things are happening to her, but there was a consent there
Mm-hmm.
while it was happening.
And
And
I don't
then
know that you would
it
call it
shows,
horrific per se if it's in a play scenario and it's something she's consented to and wants and everything. I would call it a scene. I would call it
yeah,
they're acting out their
for that
desire.
it would be. For me, it would feel horrific if
Sure,
I was
sure.
in that. So I guess that's why I used that term. I would be horrified if I was in that,
Right, because
me
it's not
particularly. But
definitely
for
not
the
something for
character,
you. Yeah.
yeah, but for the character, it's something that was consented. And then it'll have a scene that's very similar, but without her consent.
Hmm.
And the author, Carrie, makes it a point to say, this is when it was okay, this is when it wasn't okay.
Yeah.
And I always loved that, how it said things, as long as consent and boundaries are there and respected, then it doesn't really matter what's involved. But the second that consent is taken away and a boundary is crossed, it doesn't matter what the acts were, it's not okay.
Yeah.
And and I absolutely loved that. Another author, an indie author that did a good job with that. I did an interview with her too, and God, I hate that I'm bad with names.
It's okay.
It's on my shelf, so give me a second. Let me find it. Grace Weiss. Um,
Oh, I know her. Yeah.
yeah, she does a really good job in her Grudges and Revenge book, of them kind of pointing out or questioning, is it or is it not, and kind of
Hmm.
playing with that, without giving too much away in that book. That's also a very, very spicy book. Very, very well done. Um, so yeah, I'm interested to see. I love seeing the psychology of that. I love that in a lot of the indie author books that I've been reading, that consent is playing more and more of a prominent role in those books because it is so important that it becomes more normalized.
Yeah. I think a lot of Demons and Lumens, there's a lot more gray areas because everybody's kind of gray. And I
Yeah.
mean, Seraphina's using sex as a weapon. So she's doing her thing. And so there's not, it's very emotional. Everything's like emotionally heightened. And so they're all reacting to each other in these emotional sense. So that's kind of also why I put in the third book when they have to go through things to come back together to again with their bonds, and it was more of like an emotional connection and not
Hmm.
just like a sexual connection.
Yeah. Because it definitely starts off as more of a sexual connection, and you see the emotional
Sure.
bond getting stronger throughout. And so, and that does, because it starts as purely sexual, turning into more emotional, it does create some gray area in some of those scenes of
Hmm.
how would that actually play out. And but that's also kind of realistic too, because there's times where it's, you know, we just want the sexual connection, but it starts becoming emotional. And then how far, once that happens, how far is too far? And that's where communication becomes so important, um,
Absolutely.
which is something that, you know, becomes normalized in the books. It, you know, in books too, is starting to talk about, okay, so things are changing, we need to talk about it. Um,
Hmm.
as opposed to just trying to figure it out in our own heads. But these, you know, reading these books can really help you learn how to talk about and feel comfortable talking about the emotional changes and the desires and things
Yeah.
that you have that may not seem normal, but it gives you a way and words that you may not have had to be able to discuss that with your partner or partners. And um, so I think that, you know, not only are they fun to read, but they're actually kind of important in helping us evolve that language around sex, because the more language we have to describe something and the more language we have to understand something, the less fearful it is and the less likely we're going to um, abuse it or allow ourselves to be abused with it.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, at the end of the day, obviously, we're writing fiction. These are not real stories. These are not real people.
right,
It's all made up. But I also like the idea that people can read something and it can make them think about a situation differently or get an idea, get a clarity moment or whatever it is that could also help them with some other aspect of their life. I love that concept. You obviously would tell everyone these are fiction, these are fake things. These you can't base your real life on a fictional novel at
right.
any moment. But if they can do something to help you grow and with your mental health or whatever it is, then I love that when that happens too.
Yeah. And that's the thing with fiction, though, is it allows us to see and broaden and how we see things and to pull ourselves out of the same way of thinking. So
Yeah,
it, you know, it's kind of like when you're younger and you read a book series, for many, I know it's taboo at this point, understandably, but Harry Potter spoke to so many of us when
yeah,
we were younger. It is obviously a fictional book, but we were able to see ourselves in a lot of the scenarios that he went through, right? And
yeah.
same thing with, you know, the Percy Jackson books and things like, you know, as adults, we still kind of feel drawn to those ideas and those concepts. And so
Oh yeah.
it's not that these books should be, you know, they're not roadmaps for how this is, but
Right.
they allow us to delve into those sexual aspects of our lives through a different lens and to open our perspective to different ideas and concepts of ways to talk about things
Yeah,
that we may not fully understand because talking about sex is so taboo in our culture.
I know. Silly. You know what? I do love that the indie author world has also progressed so much
Hmm.
that there are more books about more kinks, more different versions of spicy scenarios and anything like that is available because you have all of these indie authors that are able to publish and get those books out. So there's always going to be ones that aren't great or don't send the right messages, but then there's a ton out there now that it's really cool to read their stories and know that if we were only doing this the traditional way, like we were even 10 years ago, these stories wouldn't be out there and
Not at all.
we'd ever get to read them. And so I love that more people get to see themselves in stories because there are so many more stories
Hmm.
out there.
Well, and to read a book and understand that, you know, you're not the only one who may have felt that way or
Yeah,
thought that way,
right.
or, you know, and it helps you open up to ideas and concepts and, you know, makes it less scary to think about or talk about certain things that we have all thought about,
Yeah.
you
In
know,
one way
like,
or another. Like maybe you don't think about
to
committing murder. That's fair.
yeah. But to some degree, we've all thought, I wonder what it would be like, you know, anyone who has opened up to their sexuality, who, as an adult, has had, that I know of at least, has had thoughts about, what would this feel like or what would that feel like? And having these smutty books kind of allows you into that world to imagine a little bit more about
Right.
what it may or may not be. And you can kind of read it and go, I really don't think I want that or would like that, or or you read it and you might be more interested or more intrigued, but it's a safe way of exploring a world that you don't get to just go and ask your friend.
Right. And you're
Um,
seeing these characters act out these situations and the character gets bold enough to ask for what they want and be confident or accept their kink, whatever it is. And you see that in a book and maybe that gives you the confidence to be like, well, this is what I'm into and I'm gonna own that now because I read somewhere and I liked that and I loved how it made me feel when I read it, so I'm gonna own mine too. And so I love that I can do that for people.
yeah. And books are just amazing in that way in general. I mean, whether you're reading in adults romance or just a fiction in general or a YA book, um, being able to put ourselves in the shoes of the main character and walk through that life is like you feel when it's well written, when you can immerse yourself in that world, you
Mhm.
feel like you're getting to live that life a little bit, and you really start to empathize, and it really teaches us how to be understanding of other people's problems and of our problems, and um like just reading in general, it's so amazing what it does to our brain.
Yeah, I agree.
And so it's been really fun going on this journey with all of you indie authors that I've been meeting since I started the podcast and started Books Brews Dogs, and learning about all the different ways that you come to writing and all the different ways that and styles that you write. And I really hope that, you know, there's an aspiring writer that gets to see these and realizes, that everybody has their own way, and there isn't any one way to come at being an author.
Yep.
And, hope that maybe one of you helps to inspire them to finally get their story out there, because it's so the amount of stories and the amount of ways to approach a story or a trope or a genre is limitless.
It is. I really
And
think that it's kind of like how they say like snowflakes, like every single one of them is
yeah,
different. And that's essentially what it is. Every single writer in the world could write an enemies to lovers story, but it's not going to be the same because it's still your version of it and you don't think the same way as anybody else.
yeah,
And so you might have elements like maybe you both have fairies or maybe you both have dragons or whatever it is, but they're not going to be the same story and that'll never happen. So you keep writing the enemies to lovers, keep writing vampires, keep writing all of those
yeah,
things that there seems like there's 1,000 of them, but there's not your version of it yet. So just go for it. That was my when I first was writing Retaliation, another indie author was like, I was like, what do I do here? And she's like, just write it. Just go for it. And I was like, okay. And then I did.
yeah. And the indie author world is amazing because a lot of you know each other, a lot of you have met, And you guys are so supportive of each other. And it's such an amazing space to be, you know, on the outskirts of and kind
In it.
somewhat immersed, but not really an author, but still immersed in that because
Yeah,
you guys have even shown that support with me with trying to get the podcast started and going and a lot of the struggles that I've been having on the behind the scenes because life is hard and
sure
it
is.
likes to do its best to get in the way.
Yep.
Uh, but it's just some of the most supportive people I've ever met have been the authors that I've had the luck to meet and interact with through this podcast. And um, it's been so much fun, like getting to know all of you and getting to read your books and your stories and seeing all the different ways that everyone you know, writes and all their different
Yeah.
styles. It's just a lot of fun. I feel so incredibly lucky that I've had this opportunity to do this.
Well, it's amazing that people like you are doing these podcasts and inviting indie authors who have baby platforms and whatever on here too. So, I mean, I think it goes both ways. Like
So
we,
it's entirely selfish for me. I get to talk to all of you. I have a never ending TBR, which, I mean, not that I had issues with a never ending TBR, but, like it's built in now.
yeah. Oh, I know. I try to focus solely on indies for mine. So I will read the big books. You know, I've read Sarah J. Maas, I've read Fourth Wing, um, and I like a lot of those books too. But I will absolutely put indie authors at the top, and especially with the ones I get to meet. So like reading Liana's books and Marianne Gray, and Whitney Stanfield writes sirens who are badasses, and I love her books. Like so, I met a lot of these really cool people, and then either read their book first and met them, or vice versa. And it's been really fun to have those connections and get to see all of these other indie authors. I think it's also inspiring on both sides.
Yeah. Well, thank you. But yeah, it's so amazing, and um, it these conversations we get to have some really cool in-depth conversations, not just about your books, but about life and how we see the world and how books help us through things. And so it's who doesn't love those conversations if you're a book reader, right? Like to get in depth about the meanings behind a lot of those things. And so thank you so
Yeah.
much for indulging me in my tangents and
It was fun. I mean, I can go off, so I felt like we did really good staying on
I
top.
this might be the one interview where I stayed on topic the most.
I mean, other
Uh,
than like our dog convo, which I will
yeah.
continue and we can keep talking about later,
Oh yeah.
but yeah,
Absolutely.
I feel good
Um,
about it.
but so I'm excited to see what you have coming. I'm excited about this anthology that you're going to be doing.
Yeah.
Um, and I'm going to put uh above the screen your website. So you have sdpaineauthor.com.
Yep.
And so you can go to the website, you can see books that you have out. It looks like it might need to be updated on the books.
So the
Uh,
website is in the process of getting a revamp because I kind of like
okay.
changed my colors and my signature and stuff in the last month or so. So the website is definitely outdated right now, but come January, everything will be all nice
Okay.
and
So by
clean.
the time this drops, it'll
Yeah,
be
it should be
updated.
good.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool. I know it's hard um when being an indie author because most of the time have a you hold down a full-time job and you're trying to run your social media, you're trying to write your book, you're trying to update your website, and so
Yeah.
um
It's a lot.
things fall behind. I understand. I'm behind on a lot of things myself when
Yeah.
it
Well, and
comes
then
to
holiday
Booksproo's dogs.
season
So
rolled in and it just takes up all of your time between life and everything. So yeah, the website, I was like, man, I just need to overhaul this. I changed the color scheme and everything. So it'll be all shiny and new.
Yeah. So, oh, I'm excited to see that because it's really beautiful as it is. It just doesn't have your newer books on it yet. Although they can find those on Amazon.
Yes.
And I do see on your website that um the Demons and Lumens series you can get on Amazon, Barnes and Noble,
Mhm.
but you can also buy a signed copy through your Etsy shop.
Yes.
So that's a lot to keep track of. And then you have a local button,
Yeah,
which
there's some
shows the
local,
local bookstores.
yeah, there's a couple local bookstores around here that have my book and which is pretty exciting.
Yeah,
And
that's very exciting.
yeah, it's really fun. I've done some signings with them and that's feels really cool, like you're a real author.
Yeah.
But yes, so that's all still there. And I do send out a newsletter once a month. It's usually the first Friday of the month, and the newsletter has the most up-to-date info. So that
Okay.
even if the website isn't, if you're signed up to the newsletter, then you'll get to see all the all the newest information about the series that I'm writing. So each series has a section, etc. And I include bonus content and spicy art if you're a newsletter subscriber. So on the website, there's a
Fun.
VIP page, and you have to have a password to get to that page, which you get in the newsletter. So you definitely want to sign up because there's
Yeah.
like bonus chapters, some unpublished scenes like a what if scenario. I
Ooh.
did for November, December, I wrote a little Christmas scene that takes place after the end of the third book. And they
Hmm.
all have a like a Christmas party together and it's really freaking cute. Um,
Oh,
so that was really fun to write. And I put that, yeah. So stuff like that goes in the newsletter. So if you subscribe, then you get access to all that
like
extra.
lots of little goodies. That's fun. That's
And
a
like
lot of
full
fun.
view of spicy art in that section too.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Well, you can't post that online anywhere,
Yeah,
so
no.
they'll kick me out of Instagram if I do that.
Yeah. So, and actually is a great segue into they can find your books either through your website, which there's links to the available places. The all of the books are listed on Am that you have out currently are listed on Amazon right now.
Yep.
And you'll have more coming out in 2026. So the
Yeah,
best way to keep up to date with the books that are coming out and when they're coming out is to subscribe to the newsletter, while you
absolutely.
also get access to all the fun little
Mhm.
extras and extra spicy content there. And then your social medias. So your Instagram handle is at Ever After Author,
Yes, it's
correct?
actually the same on everything. It's Ever
Okay.
After Author on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok.
Okay, nice. So that makes it nice and easy.
I know, I'm not gonna change it. I know when I started it, I was like, oh, because I write happily ever afters, whatever. I'm being clever. And really, I should probably have it just be my name, but I don't want to change it now. Like
I think it's okay.
everything has
Some
it
authors
connected to
have it
that.
their name and some don't, and I don't it doesn't seem to hurt them if they don't have it as their name.
Yeah,
So,
it hasn't been an issue, if I become world famous and they want me to change it, then I'll think about it.
yeah. That sounds like a good plan. But thank you so much for joining me today. I had so much fun
Thank
learning more
you.
about your books, more about you. I really loved our in-depth conversations
Me too.
about, your research and you know, how books affect us and stuff. So I always love getting in depth in those types of conversations. So um, hopefully you will come on again at some point and we'll get to have more conversations. maybe one of these days I'll get to travel around and actually meet you guys.
That would be so fun. I
That would be
am going to a lot of events in 2026.
Oh, well,
Um,
hopefully you make it to San Diego at some point.
oh,
So
there is one in there's a big one in San Diego, isn't there?
I
Um,
think I don't know.
I
Honestly,
think
I
there
don't know.
is, but
I don't even know.
I'm
But
not in it in 2026, but I have it as listed somewhere like of ones to go to. There's the Romanticycon in LA is
mhm.
usually like January, February, and then there's another one in San Diego, but I forget what it's called. But
Yeah.
both of those are
There's a
on my
possibility I might be able to make one in LA. So if you're going to be in LA, I might be able to make it up there. But right now, just with taking care of my grandma and depending on how things fall out, I don't know if I can, because that would, I mean, it's like a 4 hour drive, but if I was gonna go up there, I'd rather just stay the night. So
yeah,
it depends on how things are here, if I'm able to do that or not.
for sure. I'll definitely keep you posted. I
But
put event news out on the newsletter
yeah.
on the website
Yeah,
on
and I'll
my
definitely sign up for your newsletter. That's something that I usually try to keep up with the authors that I do the interviews with and like I subscribed to Kindle specifically because I just don't have enough money to buy everyone's book for this,
Oh, fair.
or so my I know that you guys get um royalties,
Yeah.
that's the word,
Yeah.
for every like page that's read
Yep. Yeah.
for the
So
Kindle Unlimited. And so, since I can't afford to buy everyone's book, but I want to read your book, so I'm familiar with your work and your art when I talk to you, and I'm not sitting here trying to guess what you write. Um,
every version of
that's like the
getting the
best I
book.
can do for giving back. So,
Yeah, that's fantastic. Any version you get of an author's book helps the author.
yeah.
So whether it's the ebook and it's page reads or it's the physical, we love all of it. So I don't care how you read my book as long as you're reading my book. That's amazing.
So, but it's definitely a fun book to read. It was really fun to get to listen to. I was so excited I finally got to finish a full series. I feel a
Yeah.
little bad for everyone else who has series out that I couldn't read more than one of their books. Um, but it was really just because I was on the road trip. But it was
It
like,
was kismet timing for me that you weren't
yeah,
on a road trip.
it was entirely timing. Um, so my next road trip, if I have to do another long road trip, I'm gonna go back to other authors and
Yeah,
start doing their books because it was really fun to just do all three
start to
books
finish.
back to
Yeah,
back and hear the story without having to take that break. So
that is cool.
that was a lot of fun. Um,
I love that.
yeah. And they're novels, but they're not, 800 page
Yeah.
um y- you know, when the moon or whatever. I can't think of a book right now.
Well, I'm not
But
super long-winded as a writer.
yeah.
I'm kind of a blunt personality myself, and I think that comes across a little bit in my writing that I am pretty succinct.
Yeah, you're very just you are descriptive in what's happening, but you're not describing the details of the curtains. You know,
Yeah, I
so
love
it's
that. I love stories like that, and it definitely has a time and place, and it just didn't really happen when I start. I'm like, that's not how I write, I guess.
yeah, but you are descriptive enough that you get the feel of the room, but we get to pick the design of the curtains, you
Right.
know. Um, because we don't know if they're floral or striped or plain or but
Right.
so yeah, so you get a feel of the room and the environment and the emotion in the space, and an idea of what it looks like, but it is not long-winded in the details. Um, so that's not a bad thing. I actually prefer that. could never read Anne Rice because it was too much detail.
I
And
mean,
that's
I love Anne Rice.
so
Uh, though I read those books forever ago, but yes, it is a very different style of writing, and
yeah.
I think there's time and place for different styles, and it's really fun to get to try all the different ones. So
Hmm.
it works out.
It does. All right. So everybody check out Stephanie's website, sdpaineauthor.com. And don't forget to go follow her on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok at Ever After Author. And check out her Demons and Lumens series. I highly recommend it. Uh, and with how much I liked that series, I'm pretty sure her other books are just as good.
Thank you.
So definitely check them out and sign up for that VIP list for the newsletter so you can get all the extra goodies and all the extra spicy pictures.
Yeah.
Um, Thank you so much, Stephanie, for joining me. I had so much fun talking to you.
I will
And
absolutely come back.
yes, I am very excited to see more coming from you and hearing more about you. And um, so just thank you so much, and I hope you have a wonderful night.
Thanks. You too. Give your doggies hugs and kisses from me.
Oh, I will. Thank you. And have a great holiday because this is actually taking place before, just
Yes.
before Christmas. So have a great holiday season, and
You too.
I'm so excited to see everything you have coming for us next year.
Thank
All
you.
right,
Thanks
well,
so
have a good
much.
night.
You too.
Bye.
Bye.